Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our post-game halftime show here with Joshi and Rafa. What a game number one from Immortals, continuing their successful second half of the round robin. And rough for Dignitas, who are hoping to stay up with 100 Thieves, who have FlyQuest to play later on today. We'll be keeping track of the seeding implications going into Proving Grounds throughout the day today and tomorrow. But this one was big for Dignitas. But I want to start from Immortals' side here. And Joshi, I'm going to give that one to you. Wild Turtle is looking on form here in Academy. That was the big story. It was Arrow on the Academy team. Now they're kind of playing around with both, but I think Wild Turtle showing why he was picked up for the LCS spot to begin with.
I know. I think what we're seeing right from a lot of the 80 carries that have been in LCS and are now coming down to play in Academy, they're playing with this chip on their shoulder. They're like, wait a second, I'm not supposed to be here. And then they just kind of pop off all over the place, right? 6A was doing it early in the season. Wild Turtle is doing it now. And we get to see, when these players are playing with heart and drive, it's going to give them so much more power. And we were asking, like, where was this Wild Turtle during the LCS season? Well, he's here now, and he wants to prove that he deserves his LCS spot back from Arrow.
Exactly. And not to say that necessarily we're pitting them against each other, but we're celebrating the fact that Wild Turtle had a very successful game there. And the way that you framed it, in that a lot of Academy players, they won't have this killer mentality as an AD carry.
Yeah.
But it's cool that, like, we saw in one of those team fights he did, but also overall the team had really strong play together. We actually have a replay that I wanted to bring up and talk through, because a little bit of planning from Dignitas' side, but also well done from Immortals and Concept as well, utilizing a split push Tryndamere, not something that we necessarily think of for this player. So as we take a look at the replay, it'll end on a fun note, but a reminder that the Dragon, yes, I believe that this is the correct one here.
Yeah, I know what
They
you're going
go for the play cross map, right? They get the Dragon, Dignitas start up the Herald, Josh, but then they're not able to commit to it.
Yeah, they're not able to do it because we see that Immortals are so willing to instantly call, like, hey, they can't do that, and even if they do, who cares? We're gonna get the point of taking the Rift Herald anyway. We're gonna get the whole turret. And so Dignitas, for the first time, they don't have Tryndamere threatening to take a turret, so they think they can make a play with Eclipse.
Oh, this is tragic.
Fortunately, it's a Hextech map.
Yeah.
They're out of here, baby.
It's very rare. It is very rare that we actually see, like, the map change have that big of an impact on a play. Like, yeah, you get some movement speed from Cloud, right? Yeah, there's some terrain, but they would have probably been wiped there with a TP and Malphite behind. But the fact that they were able to zoom out with the Hex Gates was actually absolutely hilarious. So think about it from the Dignitas side now, Rafa, before we get into our halftime show. From their perspective, maybe just a little bit of hesitation. I don't. Is that what you're feeling?
No, I mean, we talked about it just at the end of the game, right? I mean, whenever XU is put on something that requires a little bit more early agency, things like the Lee Sin, the Xin Zhao, and the Jarvan, in a meta where many junglers are now very adept at picking up the Udyr and the Hecarim, you're put on a timer, right? It's like you have to snowball and you have to just completely destroy the state of every single lane before the enemy jungler outscales you and outlevels you, right? And XU, he tried. It didn't work out, and I think other just big props to the side of Wild Turtle and Joey for maintaining that lane so strongly, even when they're in the 2v3.
It was impressive from the side of Immortals to be able to just stick to their guns and get through the game, regardless of the fact that actually was trying to make those early plays. But that's game one, guys. It's wrapped up. We're getting ready for game number two. So while the players are getting ready for pick and ban, we have a little bit of time to fill. So we're going to do kind of along with the theme of the day, looking back on the performances throughout the split. We had a first round robin, second round robin, and this is the final week of Academy. So I'm going to play a new game with the two of you where we get to guess a player. Now, I haven't come up with an official title for this game yet, but the general gist of it is that you're going to look at stats from the first round robin and then stats from the second round robin. See the difference in play, the difference in performance, and then you're going to have to guess the player. I'll let you know it is somebody from this game. Obviously, every time we play this, it's going to be one of the players that we just saw. So, production, let's pull up the graphic and show my two contestants who they can guess. Guess this player. You can see their first round robin stats are on the left. We got KDA, kill participation, kill share, first blood percentage, and counter pick rate. And then the second round robin on the right.
We got a lot of first bloods in the first half of the season. I think that's kind of like our biggest clue here is whoever was doing really well in the lane. I'm gonna guess if I can go first.
Yeah.
That this is XU.
Oh, you already have a guess. All right, so you're thinking it's a jungler. Now, there are a couple hints here. I mean, certain stats will lean towards certain players, right?
True.
So I think that you can look at some of these and already kind of guess the position. Rafa, what do you think, though?
That was probably going to be my guess too, right? But I distinctly remember XU having a higher kill participation score, so that's why I'm like slightly on the fence. I'm actually going to say JJ.
You're going to say JJ. Okay, you're looking at the kill participation. That's a pretty high first blood rate for support right there. As I believe the second one was actually meant to be a 50% first blood rate. So that one might have baited you a little bit right there. Yeah, because that was the big one.
Okay.
50% of first blood. Does that change your guess, Rafa?
50%?
In the second round robin. The first round robin was 39% first blood rate.
Dark
Second
Wings?
round robin was 50%.
Dark Wings?
Dark Wings. You're going Dark Wings? All right, so again, just a reminder that that first blood on the right should be 50 instead of 28 there. So we got XU and Dark Wings vote. Again, in Twitch chat, if you want to guess along, make sure that you get your guesses in right now. The reveal. Production, pull it up.
Guess
Who
that player.
is a player that I'm
Watch it just
actually
be an
referencing
Immortals
here
player instead.
with these stats. Yeah, you both guessed Dignitas side, but it was not, in fact, a Dignitas player. So I'll let you know that you're both wrong already. Once production has it ready, I believe we'll pull up the screen with the player image on it. But hey, I still like the idea behind the guesses. But this, of course, is Chad.
No, man.
Oh, there we go. I'm actually surprised that he has such a high first blood percentage in the second round robin, right? I don't necessarily feel like he's been that much more proactive, but I guess, you know, we've been seeing a couple more invades coming out of this player, right? We definitely saw him cyberbullying Tomio previously, and 50% though, that is absurdly high.
That's a lot. That's a lot of first bloods. Even 39% is relatively high as well. And the big other changes here, kill share's a little bit lower, kill participation a little bit higher, but that KDA, he's getting more consistent. He's dying way less in the second half. That's the big number that I was looking at. That in first blood, he's dying less. He's getting more early kills for the team. And a big part of this has been with Wild Turtle on the team. It's now been 2 weeks, and Wild Turtle has been absolutely popping off in the academy scene. Chad has been a beneficiary of that as well. These two are actually linking up very well. Chad is a great enabler. We know this player to be somebody who's willing to go in and start the plays, get things going. And when you have a player like Wild Turtle on your team that's going to commit with you and then provide that consistent DPS, it's a recipe for success for Immortals.
And that's the funny thing about Chad, because when you look at his past splits where he's really come and made a name for himself, particularly 100 Thieves Next, when they started really popping off, it was off the back of Chad carry performances. Like I remember from the EGL Summer Showdown, the Kazakhs, the Graves performances, to even take a game off of Wildcard Gaming, who were undefeated up until that point in terms of overall games, right? And then when you look at one of his post-game interviews, I don't remember if it was during Proving Grounds or during EGL Summer Showdown, Chad was talking about, you know, I know I put up a lot of carry games, but I actually prefer being a facilitator and enabler for the rest of my team. So I don't mind playing something more of a control play style. I just want the rest of my team to succeed.
Yeah. Exactly, and we've seen both styles now. He has the carry performances, but in the second round robin, he's playing more facilitator. He's playing more for the team, but also still finding those kills. In that last game, he flame horizoned XU in the jungle. Like, that was absolutely nuts.
That's the Udyr Trundle matchup, man. Come on.
Maybe an asterisk on that, but still, come on.
No,
I mean, that's pretty exciting.
It's a lot. It's a lot, right?
And
it's definitely a departure from what we were saying earlier. He's had a lot of success on Viego, as the champion I keep calling out, but this is another way that he's been seeing a lot more success recently, is just saying, hey, I don't necessarily need to be doing a whole lot early on. I'm able to just kind of take this game a little bit slower and allow a lot of the veterans on my team to showcase why they have been kind of stars throughout the course of the regular season. This game was actually kind of a passenger, right? He was just kind of there because other players like Joey and Wild Turtle and Concept are stepping up so far that one of the biggest stars that we were expecting in the mid lane didn't need to do much.
We know Pretty's got it in him, and maybe we'll see it going into game number 2. But of course, that was Chad's performance differential between Round Robin 1 and Round Robin 2. Let's see how he brings it to this next game, as I'm hearing now that we are ready for pick and ban, so I'm going to pass it back over to the casters to get us underway.
Big note here coming into the draft, Josh. Yeah, goodbye, Kingus. Thank you. Not gonna lie, Josh, that was a fun game, but I do hope we get to play something like Pixel Perfect or what's the other one? Tic Tac Trivia later today.
We'll see. Well,
I
we
need
can-
those
we
to
can
really
probably
like
beat
just
it out of
boost
him.
my serotonin because I usually win at those and I don't win at anything else against Josh, especially chess. I get my butt whooped.
Well, luckily we don't have any chess going on today, except during what our players might be potentially doing as we jumped right on into Champion Select. We are seeing that players are going to be on the same side, so I'm expecting the same draft.
Were these the same bands from Immortals before? I feel like...
They were. Yep.
Okay, okay.
Same bands from Dignitas as well. Just getting a run back so far. And I think that is something that, for the most part, I would be okay with, right? I'm not convinced that the Trundle was the answer to the Udyr. It's something that you talked about quite a bit. Is like, you just kind of put yourself behind, and you especially know when you feel like you need to do something, it puts the entire game in kind of like a crisis mode. Like, right off the bat, you start forcing some plays, and if they don't go well, then you're in a very tough spot. So I think there's a lot of tools that Dignitas can pick up that they've had a lot of success on throughout the course of the regular season, but they need to start turning it around because so far, the exact same plan is unlikely to work.
One thing I would like to advocate for Dignitas if they want to change things up, because so far the opening 3 is still the same. Immortals, they don't have to change anything up. They can still go with Tahm Kench Udyr here. Make sure to take away that from both. Take the Udyr away from XU, and because the hack room is already banned, some of the top farming junglers have already been kind of denied, right? Now,
Yep.
what Dignitas can do, they don't have to show their jungle pick quite
No
yet.
oh, no. Okay. We've both been vocal about the fact that we are not super thrilled about this pick. So let's see what XU can do, right? Because last game, he started off, he cleared his bottom side of the jungle, and then he immediately went into the mid lane and got first blood onto Pretty, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then he comes back. He does his Raptors, and he comes back and makes sure that Pretty can't actually prevent the wave from crashing, so he can't get a freeze going up against Darkwings. Like, he does his early game job. But what the place where it really went wrong was when he went top lane to try and dive concept, he wastes a whole minute and a half just chilling up there, trying to find this gank, ends up backing in the brush, gets caught out by Chad, they try and kill him, doesn't work, and then he finally gets his back off, and his top side camps have just been sitting there for about 3 minutes longer than they're supposed to. And I feel like if you don't do that, if you don't have that kind of disastrous early game, XU can find some of these plays, but you need to make sure you actually put yourself in a position where you can go for them. You're not going to be able to chase down the Trinity once you've blown your flash.
Can I be crazy, Josh?
Yes.
What if we just send this Trundle top lane? Well, let's, and just Hullbreaker, man. Yeah, I mean, Immortals, one of the things that prevented Dignitas from being able to do anything that game was they had concept on Tryndamere, and they banned the Tryndamere. So now that they can potentially pick a better matchup that allows Eclipse to have control over that lane, but also to match split push for split push while not giving up so much that Dignitas lose out on primary engage if Eclipse is not there.
I mean, they had the primary engage, right? He just wasn't able to be there. It's part of why, like, Malphite is not a super great counter pick to Tryndamere in competitive play. But, I really want that to get locked in. It's one of my favorite champions, but we'll see what they actually do with it. I like this a little bit better, because right now, all they need to do is they need to find something very standard coming out for Eclipse up in the top lane that can get fights started, and the Camille coming through had a great game on this not that long ago, and something that I think we will be able to continue seeing some success on. And now they have go buttons, and they're not getting threatened to get split pushed to death the entire time as well. So I like the adaptations we've seen from Dignitas this time around, and luckily for probably both of us, we're not getting Trundle top.
I mean,
I
would have been down for it.
It's not as bad as I initially made it out to be, but it's just kind of like a...
It would have been cool, man.
I
think I just still have PTSD from losing a game off of a Trundle top with Hullbreaker split pushing his way to victory, even though we were like super far ahead.
Our top laner didn't, and remember, I was subbed out this game. It wasn't me in the top lane this time. Our top laner, we asked him, like, are you okay to sit in the top lane? He's like, yeah, I should be fine. Dies 100-0, gets dove, both top laners are full HP, dies underneath turret with full HP in a solo dive. That happens 3 times throughout that game. That doesn't happen in professional play, Mark. That's not what's going to happen here either. And we'll see if that ever comes up, if Trundle top ever gets some play in competitive once again. We'll look at it a little bit more. So we just got to put our biases aside a little bit. I know you want Dignitas to win, but we can't bring out that kind of cursed
Okay,
technology.
well, no, okay. It's not that I want Dignitas to win. I just wanted to see some funny stuff on the Rift, you know? I like seeing weird picks, and I like seeing, you know, creativity, because we're on 12.5, and I don't know if you noticed, Josh, apart from Concept Urgot, even though that is, quote-unquote, you know, not standard, that's just because it's a concept thing. Everything else on the Rift, we're still playing the same stuff. Come on, guys. We've had a whole
we haven't seen a lot of Corki recently. That's cool, right?
Man, don't stop. Stop the copium, bro.
I
need
actually like
something new.
Corki. He's one of my favorite champions.
I know you like Corki, but I need something new, man. Where's the
Okay.
assassins in the mid lane? Bring back the Zed. We only saw one Zed, and that was from Copy, and then that was it.
He did fine. You know, he was definitely in that game. So we'll see if we can get some more spicy picks from you later on today, Mark. But for now, we do have to point out that Eclipse has opted to go for the Flash instead of the Ignite, so a little bit less kill pressure up there and a little bit more survivability later on in the game. Can get a little bit farther engage range, and now there's not the same kind of pressure coming out from Concept to be taking all these turrets. And there will be a bit more back and forth between these two top laners, so it's not an out-and-out like split pushing win coming out from the side of Immortals. But we also have to pay a lot of attention to how XU gets some of this early pathing down. Remember, Pretty and Corki don't normally take W until level 3, so it can be very easy to go for some of these early ganks.
Big thing to point out here between these two top laners, I think this is where a lot of the game can be decided for, because both Concept and Eclipse, not only they have pressure to split on the top on cross map, but they also have powerful team fighting tools. Eclipse with the Hextech Ultimatum can lock down one primary target. I'm looking at you, Wild Turtle, because you were going a little too off the rails for Dignitas' likings. But for Concept, the Fear Beyond Death is always a way to turn things around to be a game changer. As Eclipse already takes a huge chunk of his health. Don't tell me Eclipse has to flash away. Oh, this is a very, very bad time already.
As a top laner, that is what we call sad, right? There's not a whole lot that you can really do at this point when you've lost that much HP, and now that you have no control of the wave state going up against Urgot for a little while, you're going to be hanging out. You're going to be trying to find some way back. You can use your W to try and trade, but Concept, we know he's really, really good at this Urgot. It's one of his most played throughout the season thus far, and I don't think Eclipse really gets a way back into it for quite a while, right? Camille has a lot of really tough lanes early on because she doesn't have a whole lot of stats. She relies a lot on champion levels instead of levels in the queue in order to get all the conversion true damage, where you become this Giga Chad the entire way throughout the rest of the game. Speaking of Chad, notice the fact that his lane opponent is just going top lane. He clears the bottom side, and now he's going up top to go get Concept.
We're having some action on the bottom side of the map, so we're going to delay on when we get to see stuff on the top side.
Joey.
But Joey's burning down, still not burning the flash, maintaining so much patience. It's only the heal from Wild Turtle. They
Holy
wait
crap.
for the very last tick to get the maximum use of heal. Now Concept might be in a bad spot. Immediate flash. Get some chomp damage down. I don't think there's going to be anything more, but now the Summoner spell has been burned.
Okay, I mean, a good attempt coming out from X, you're right. You get the flash out of Concept, but the flash is not enough. It means that you will need to take a repeat trip up to the scenic top lane, and Chad is already here. Just like we saw last time, Chad continuing to full clear while XU goes for these plays, and XU can't afford to fall nearly as far behind as he did last game. So watch Chad, now that he has a level advantage, to look for some of these invades or some plays of his own, because he knows that XU skipped a lot of camps.
Yeah, because last time it was a really crazy path from XU to do full clear blue side jungle and then skip all the red side camps. And now, oh no, Chad is just going to wait, steals and yoinks the red buff. This is the punishment. And Chad already recognizing that when XU only has blue buff and then still 12 camps, it's like, hey, all of his red camps are up, and I have the advantage. I'm level 4. Darkwings can't be protected right now, but it's just helping Pretty push in this wave, as Darkwings has a pretty sizable health difference at the moment.
Yeah, and note that Chad doesn't really have anywhere else to be. Like, yes, he can go down and pick up the crab, but it's not like XU is likely to contest him for that just quite yet. XU still needs to clear out his camps, but all this HP difference means that XU might be able to fight.
Does XU want to flash for this? Ghost was already popped from Chad. At least that's a summoner spell being traded for pretty much nothing from the side of Dignitas.
Yeah, ooh. XU also backing away, believing that Chad had done the actual crab. So even though XU does enough to push off Chad from the actual map, Chad is still able to go pick up the Krugs. And I have to admit, I think both junglers are under the assumption that the other jungler has done the crab.
That's awkward.
Right? It's like, oh, I thought you were gonna bring dessert, so I brought the drinks.
Is that really... Oh no, hold up. Concept might be in a bad spot here. Eclipse still has Flash to be able to match for it, but he needs to wait on cooldowns. Tactical sweep for the slow. Gets in range for one more precision protocol there. It doesn't even
There we
need
go.
the Flash. That's the solo kill for Eclipse.
Yeah, Eclipse was really struggling early on in the lane, right? At the level 1, he got put in a bad position, but with the help of XU and getting the flash down from Concept, they are actually able to convert it. And now, Dignitas moving in force down on the bottom side of the map. XU trying to hit this Hextech Dragon. He doesn't have a whole lot of camps to be doing, and Chad is on the opposite side of the map, so this should be Dignitas coming out with another small win across the board.
This is a nice adaptation for Dignitas. If you remember last time, Immortals Academy were the first ones to pick up the Dragon, and that put Dignitas on a little bit of a timer, right? Because with the first 2 Dragons netted for them, it forced Dignitas to be much more proactive and put a lot more pressure on them to fight their way back into controlling the game. This time around, Dignitas get a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is still a lot of opportunity now for Dignitas to try and take this game. Corki comes online really late in the game, but Darkwings is doing a great job pushing Pretty around. Look at the fact that they are up 2 full waves, more than 2 full waves at this point in the game. We've seen some really good Corkis, right? Kaidoa had a fantastic showing on Corki versus Ryoma's Victor, but Darkwings is not letting Pretty repeat the same performance.
Just constantly tagging and poking him out thanks to the use of the Summonary and XU. Oh man, if they could crash this wave, Pretty still has Flash. So I don't think it would be a guaranteed kill here unless the Shockwave connects here. Shockwave for Flash, Pretty gets out, but now it's a Summoner Spell down.
Okay, XU needs to be a
God.
little bit careful because the Frog is coming to check him out, but there is still a Flash available. Good Flash. With Flash, there is no threat here, and JJ trying to go for the hook as well, but Immortals will be able to dodge out on that. Now JJ is in a little bit of trouble.
Uh-oh. Okay. It
Little
could have
bit,
been a
just
little
a little
dangerous, but thankfully the pressure from Spawn pushing in this wave saying, hey, do you really want to run down my support and force a Summoner Spell, or do you want to pick up this juicy wave? However, there's a Man-Bear Pig on the way, and Spawn's like, oh god, I don't have Flash. JJ, help please. Don't worry, buddy. I flash away so I can buy distance and Dark Passage you back to safety, and they're both out fine.
See, the funny thing is the answer was the support, right? Because they gave up a lot of that wave when they tried to make that happen, and now we're seeing a lot of reversals. Remember in game 1 where we were saying that Immortals were finding a ton of advantage because their lanes were just winning? Now they're not, right? Eclipse is the solo kill in the top lane. Darkwings has got a significant CS lead in the mid, and Spawn, you know, because they haven't given over that 2v2 kill this time, are much more comfortable in this lane than they were the first time around. So Dignitas are actually coming out with a small gold lead, and I like the composition a whole lot better. As XU comes down, we might see even more tools ripped out from IMT.
No level 6 from Joey. No flash from Wild Turtle.
Kill the Frog.
Should just be the flash from Joey. Death Sentence goes wide. Joey dodges out on it beautifully. And Dignitas, this time around, they don't overextend for the kills and not give up 3 kills to Wild Turtle.
I know, I was getting the exact same flashbacks when I saw it's like, oh no, Joey is still alive. Wild Turtle's still free hitting.
They avoided that one this
They
time
avoided
around.
it.
They're learning. See, this is all about Academy adaptation and development.
Yeah, Dignitas have already avoided both of the major mistakes they made in Game 1, and so now that they're playing this game from a relatively even footing, yes, XU is still down, about 20 CS up against Chad, but this is, you know, mostly to be expected. It's not the crazy balloon like we were saying previously, and XU still has plenty of time to try and make some of these plays happen. He's just rushing top.
Dude, Concept didn't even tickle him. And it was like very little damage, and now Eclipse locks him down.
Oh,
Concept
top,
still
top,
has
top.
Flash. Hold up, we still got a kill opportunity on into the Catfish. Joey just goes in, gets devoured alive. This time around, XU devouring Concept as well. King Crab is up on the menu. The Man-Bear Pig once again making his entrance onto the top side of the map, but no Flash available, so he can't necessarily close the distance against Eclipse. Just tries to soak up the minion wave, and XU forcing him away with the Subjugate.
Alright, sorry Leche. Never should have doubted you guys. There was still a kill on the bottom side of the map, and so again, it's Dignitas winning both top lane and bottom lane at the same time. The fact that they're winning everywhere on the map is just really, really crazy. Now they're looking for Turtles.
Well, Turtle, he still has Flash, but it might just be too late. He's trying to distance himself, see if he can win the 1v1 spawn, closing the distance right on top of him. The 2v1 isolation for Dignitas.
Good stuff, and Dignitas, are they going to try and contest this too? This would be a 3v4, so this might be something they do have to give up, but yes, it is going to be another win coming out from Dignitas. We gotta slow down just a little bit. Stop and smell the roses. It's no longer your turn to make a play on the map because Joey is top
Eat
lane.
some chicken nuggets.
Eat some... eat some chicken nuggets. Yes, make sure you get your Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't think they're our sponsor, but they sponsor someone at Riot. And we get another opportunity to look at how Dignitas do this. The fact that the Hextech Ultimatum follows concept is absolutely huge. Even though his flash is back up, it's so difficult. I love the fact that XU, again, waiting with the pillar for the flash to come through, gives concept no way out.
This time around, Dignitas opened up the game with a solid 1,000 gold lead and 4 kills to the name. Also the first Dragon of the game. The only thing that Immortals have been able to net back is the first Rift Herald. Chad gets locked up, but not in any real danger. Although Chad doesn't want to take any chances, pops is the Nos.
Yeah, gets the Ghost. Gonna be running right on out of there. So I feel like Dignitas making us eat our words a little bit, right? We were not super excited about the fact that they were going right back to the same strategy, but this time seems to be working out, and a big part of it, once again, has to do with Eclipse on this more comfortable champion and is actually able to win a lot of these trades going up against Concept's Urga. And I feel like that's one of the big things that we have to pay attention to is how Eclipse will continue to create pressure in the side lane because he was always behind last time.
And no Summoner Spell. Nice Devour from Joey,
Nice
but a Pillar is going to separate Joey from Wild Turtle briefly. Moonlight Vigil should be enough. The Gray Health Shield just not going to be enough to keep him alive. Dignitas, they are on fire this time around, but Dark Wings has to be careful. It's a lot of damage from Pretty, and Chad still in the wings despite not having Ghost. Can still close the distance here, but Dignitas playing a much cleaner game too.
Yeah, I'm really loving it, but we also have to remember, Mark, that they are ahead, but they're only ahead about 1,000 gold at this point in the game, and Pretty now gets to play. He's still not the most exciting character without having completed an entire item, but he does have access to the package and the teleport if he wants to try and join, but a little bit too late. Immortals, slow to the play with Joey off the map, are going to be giving Dignitas an opportunity. You're scaring me a little bit, Lecce. He doesn't steal this, right? Oh, and he gets the kill too!
You know he's famous for that back on TSM and every other team that he's been on the LCS. He has found one Jinx Super Mega Death Rocket steal, sometimes a kill, but never the same in the same go.
Oh my god, the fact that he gets both the dragon and the kill, absolutely ridiculous coming through at the same time. And it feels like everything was going in Dignitas, but this is when the Roman Emperors come back and they have the servant whisper in their ear, remember, you are still a human, right? There are still things that you have to do to win this game. And Immortals, a lot of control for a minute. They do have Corki with the package, but I'm a little bit surprised that he's running around with this, right? Because now it means that when he has it right now, it's not up for the next dragon. It has a 5-minute cooldown, and even though it allows him to get out of this shockwave, it means that it's much harder to contest the next objective.
No package available for Pretty, as you already noted. It's a 3-man dive in preparation against Eclipse, but JJ, XU, and Spawn immediately rushing to the rescue. And Eclipse is saying, oh, it's okay, bro. You can catch my wave. That's fine. Joey has flash available, gets locked up at the death sentence. Nice pillar separates Immortals from the rest of the back line here. Flashing forward from Spawn. It's a Gale Force, but not enough damage to take out Joey. And now Pretty has answered the call. Dark Wings, no shockwave available, remember, so he can only poke and pull.
Okay.
He can't necessarily go for the big wombo, but Chad's still taking some damage. He's got to be careful on how he exits this one out. No Ghost available. It's trying to dip death to dash around, but it's not enough. Dark Wings finds the killing blow.
Yeah, Joey's sticking around with ult, trying to create an escape path for Chad, but as Chad goes down for the first time this game, Pretty got to be a little bit careful there as well. But we are seeing this trade going back and forth, and great usage of the E coming out from Eclipse, right? It is such a difficult way to buffer out of crowd control like that, but Eclipse doing a fantastic job at it in order to win that trade. That could have been a very bad situation if you timed that wrong.
That was sick. And you could tell I don't necessarily watch that much Urgot play because that just caught me off guard. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing where if you get the pull, there's a small window where if you get crowd control before it starts to pull you towards the terrain, the crowd control doesn't count the same way it works with like Tristan and Ezreal.
So you have to buffer it just in the right timing window.
Yeah,
okay.
It's even tougher to do because it's variable window depending on like how far away your hook shot is from the actual structure. And so the fact that he gets out there is huge. I want to credit it as intentional, right? Because that's the kind of thing that Eclipse would go for anyway. But regardless, the results are huge. If he had not timed that right, he was probably dead.
Immortals know that Dignitas are around to look for the dive, so they're going to stop them from inflicting any emotional damage to Concept as he's trying to catch this wave.
Damage.
Dignitas just looking for the 3-on-3. But Spawn is going to be here, making the 4-on-3. Remember, no teleport from Pretty, no package available. This will be a numbers advantage for Dignitas. Stuff sentence right onto Concept, but his nice buffer and flashing away from Eclipse. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Darkwings is going to get soloed out. A 2v1 trade. Dignitas still have to go for this dive, but the fear beyond death. Now it's all a disaster for Dignitas. It's Immortals that are now on the upswing. They're turning and they're fighting right on back. Spawn's going to get slowed down. Not enough damage. And look at Chad, the man bear pig spitting hot fire. Burns them all down to a crisp.
Yeah, Dignitas overextend a little bit. Remember, you're still immortal. Now it's Immortals who are coming out ahead with the gold lead after turning around that dive. A full ace across the map coming out for Immortals. And I said, I don't think this dive necessarily looks particularly good, but they went for it anyway. And that's the thing that Dignitas often goes for it. They think that they're good enough to pull it off, and you know, half the time they are right, but here they're going up against 3 incredibly tanky members, right? And they don't need to necessarily do a whole lot of damage. They just need to live the entire time, with Joey creating a lot of space for Chad in order to keep people underneath the turret. All they're waiting for is for Concept to get this first ultimate off, and once that happens, remember, what's the DPS in this fight actually comes from the fact that Immortals are fighting underneath their own turret. They don't need to be hitting the right targets. They just need to survive so that the turret can do its work.
Dignitas had such a huge lead going into that play, but a collapse across both the bot lane and the mid lane, with Pretty and Wild Turtle ganging up on Darkwings, forcing the flash out and still getting the kill, has now allowed Immortals to spiral ahead. But Chad will get caught out, routed off by the death sentence, but he's still tanky. Might be able to survive. Abyssal Dive walks him down thanks to Chompers. XU is the one that pays the price for it. Darkwings, can he find the shockwave? But it only pulls in Chad. Wild Turtle's able to dodge out out of it. Shutdown goes over to Spawn. But now watch for Concept. Doesn't have flash, can't get over the wall. Has to take the slow walk around. Wild Turtle doesn't have Super Mega Death Rocket, so can't chase him down with the rest of Immortals. But no jungler to either side. So both Dignitas and Immortals looking at this dragon, it would be very tricky, but with the numbers advantage, Immortals get to secure it.
Yeah, it looks like they will be pushing off the members of Dignitas because Eclipse is up in the top lane, but this is one of those trades that we were looking at Immortals having all over the place yesterday. And Pretty takes a long time to do this. There's no way that JJ takes it, right?
No way. Oh!
Okay, it was close. 24 HP coming through. That's less than an auto attack of difference. So, whew, both teams going for it. But Turtle, I mean, going to be hitting the Rift Herald a little bit, and it's still a very even game, right? Very different than what we saw the first time around. But Mark, we spent a lot of time pumping up Darkwings for his ability to push Pretty around early on in the game. Now, Pretty gets to start playing the game. He's got a full item. He's almost done with the Muramana. He's halfway to the Luden's Tempest, and he's going to be able to start creating a huge range advantage. And Corki, while his package isn't quite as strong, still does all the crazy poke that he was doing before the package nerf. So, you know, it's going to be a bit more difficult for Dignitas to go for these straight-up fights. Camille's going to have to start looking for these flanks. JJ is going to have to be really accurate with all of these hooks. And it feels like the tide is shifting back on towards the boys in blue.
Dignitas can look to Eclipse, as you already mentioned, to continue looking for flanks. But the other thing is that Eclipse now has split push pressure this time around. Concept hasn't necessarily been pushed away by Eclipse, but so far, thanks to all the resources that XU has graciously given to Eclipse within the first few minutes of the game, Eclipse has spiraled and funneled a lot of gold to him, taking out the top tier turret as well as the bottom tier turret.
So we'll see if they can do anything with that, right? A lot of money going into this Camille, and Camille gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. The pillar just forces Chad to reset on the Rift Herald, but I feel like Immortals are just going to get this. It's a matter of time, not really an if. Unless there's a crazy steal coming through, because we've seen crazier things happen already in this game. But I feel like Immortals, now as they are in control, I start looking towards a lot of their veterans, right? Wild Turtle has been crucial for the comms.
And look at this, Eclipse just completely zoning off Concept's escape route here. Concept doesn't have flash from before. Eclipse is just holding on to the Hextech Ultimatum because he knows that between him and JJ, they have enough damage to take him down. Mama Bear ensuring that his cubs are growing up.
Growing up big and strong, not a whole lot that they need to worry about here. And I love the fact that Eclipse was just kind of waiting for his Qs, dancing in and out, not trying to take excess damage. But XU, does he get this?
Nope.
Oh. Well, okay, let's still give credit where credit is due. Chad is still up 70 CS at this point in the game. He is still very strong. It's not quite as impressive as the 100 CS, but he is well on his way to getting there. And I feel like this is a situation where his itemization is going to be a bit better. Holy moly, 3,000 gold nearly between the two junglers. That is almost entirely
As the
off of the
prophecies
CS.
foretold, when you pick this Trundle into the Udyr, this is the sacrifice you make.
So one of the things with Trundle that we often think about is the fact that, you know, he takes solo tank compositions from the other side and turns them into no tank compositions because you just steal all the stats. But this time, I wonder how effective that's going to be because there's actually like 2.5 effective tanks on the side of Immortals, and Chad, as he goes in, right, it's not like a DPS composition coming out from the side of Dignitas. It's a lot of burst. So the fact that he's missing a lot of resist isn't quite as impactful as if you were rocking multiple marksmen for the side of Dignitas. And I still like this Trundle. I still think it's going to be doing quite a bit as these fights actually go through. But I feel like Immortals are not as worried about it this time around as they were the first game.
And the way that the early game is played out, also, you don't have to deal with Concept outsplitting your top laner because your top laner can do both. He can primary engage and he can match the split push pressure. Whereas last time on the mouth fight, while it's insane engage potential, it's just eventually going to crumble.
Can't be there. Yeah. So as we kind of get into a position where we kind of wait for the dragons to spawn, Mark, let's do a quick item check and see if we can count. There is in fact the same number of items on almost every player.
I like counting.
I like counting. I'm very good at it. I can count all the way to 6 because that's the maximum number of item slots you have.
And it's not because that's what... Oh, whoa. Wild Turtle takes a lot of damage. Thanks to a nice Devour from Joey once again. Eclipse almost gets in range. Hextech ultimatum onto the Catfish, locks him down. Great health shield, keeping him alive to the very bitter end, but it's still going down thanks to Subjugate.
Let's go Spawn.
Just gets some straight damage onto JJ. Eclipse, he's still going to live. Fear Beyond Death lands onto JJ, but not enough damage to hit the execute threshold so that Concept could just reel him back in. The rest of Dignitas somehow blinking HP BAR members still stay alive.
Okay, Pretty looking for an opportunity to come in, and we'll see if he wants to try and go get the package, but I think this Dragon is already forfeit. Dignitas, great trigger pull here once again, and Spawn, this underserved player that we haven't necessarily talked about as much throughout the course of the regular season, stepping up once again, sniping out Wild Turtle during that last play. After everything was said and done, it's just another win, and the game remains even between these two teams for Dignitas.
Immortals. Hold up Pretty. He has Flash and he has Valkyrie. The Dignitas are slowly encroaching. Eclipse looking for the hook shot here. Shockwave catches up Concept, still has Flash, but doesn't get a time to pop it. Pretty is already preemptively popping this Flash. He doesn't want to get caught out. Dignitas now have control of this Baron Pit, but still low health bars for JJ here. This is going to take some time to reset.
Yeah, even though Dignitas get the kill, it is just mostly that little bit of gold that is coming through. Joey, very bold, right? Not necessarily seeing how many people were immediately there, but process of elimination, you see a couple people top side, should be all right. So now Immortals, it is their turn to make a play on the map because everybody on Dignitas has to reset, and Immortals are still here. Rift Herald is going to crash. It is going to be a mid lane turret, meaning that we are, again, within 1,000 gold between these two teams. And where the gap is coming out for Dignitas, Aphelios, right? This is typically a matchup that I'd say is slightly favored towards Jinx throughout the course of the regular game because Aphelios has to be the one to step up and make a play, otherwise they just get outranged. And Spawn did that in the last fight, right? He threw out the ultimate, he got the last auto attack onto Turtle, who was free hitting for a good chunk of that because everyone was focused on the tanks. And so if Spawn can continue doing that and making Wild Turtle's life uncomfortable, Dignitas should be very happy with the fact that they're playing with this Aphelios.
Yeah, Spawn definitely feels a lot more free to be able to step up and inflict maximum amount of burst damage onto the back line of Immortals this time around. Game 1 seemed pretty damn hard, especially when Wild Turtle was so massively snowballed due to the triple kill in the bot lane. But also we have to give credit to Eclipse, right? Because you can actually see that he has the opportunity to contribute to these team fights this time around.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused as to why Dignitas is here, right? There's no dragon to be playing for. Eclipse can push all on his own, and Immortals now control the direction to the actual Baron buff. So as long as they aren't getting engaged upon and there's not direct ability to just throw people in, Immortals are slowly just going to get mid-prio and threaten the objective a bit more than Dignitas.
The only benefit to this is that Eclipse is now getting free time onto the turret, because Concept was dragged into this mid lane fight thinking that without teleport, I might be needed to be here for the 5-on-5. Eclipse doesn't get a chance to really go for turret damage, but now he's collapsing on forward, and Concept doesn't have teleport. He's catching this wave. This is the potential to force a 5-on-4. Watch for Eclipse, see if he can find Wild Turtle. Pillar on the slow, and you know what? Joey already sees the play happening before the rest of Dignitas can even react to it. Good Devour and Abyssal Dive.
Yeah, I mean, you know, despite all the jokes about the NA round, we don't actually get there very often. I think this is the first time where I'm just kind of like, why are both teams here? There's just like a top lane that nobody's interacting with. There's plenty of wave clear on the side of IMT, and finally we're seeing Dignitas go for this play. Concept is very far, doesn't have to teleport just quite yet, but still, there's a lot of poke, there's a lot of tools on the side of IMT. The only thing they're missing is
a nice pick from Death Sentence on the JJ and the Chad. Shockwave is huge, takes him out. No jungler for the 50-50 smite, but it's a slow Baron process. You can see that Dignitas, they would rather fight here. Eclipse has teleport, wants to recall. Maybe it can... Okay, never mind. I thought Immortals maybe would look for a little bait and switch and force Immortals into the choke point and then look for maybe like a teleport flank, but you can see the rest of Dignitas, they don't want to take the fight anymore.
You can tell that Dignitas feel like they're the team that needs to... Oh, that's brutal that the control ward doesn't see the other ward right there. But
Damn.
You can tell that Dignitas feel like they actually need to do things on the map, and I agree, right? They're the ones who are going to kind of struggle to deal with the Corki later on in the game. But so far, they're getting 1 kill here, they're getting 1 kill there, which is good, right? They are trying to make things happen, but the threats that they're creating and the questions that they're asking haven't been as brutal. I feel like that's been something that a lot of teams have figured out so far, something that our CLGs and Golden Guardians have been very good at so far during the regular season. And a team of relative rookies still trying to figure out how to create maximum pressure, how to ask the toughest questions of their opponents, because Immortals, and all the veterans of Wild Turtle, Pretty, and coming into this game are creating very tough questions for Dignitas to try and answer by being in the right places at the right time. They're just making a couple small mechanical flubs if somebody gets a bit too far forward and gets caught.
XU has to be the first one to step up. Massive movement speed boost from the command dissonance allows him to fish for a pillar, but they have to still be cognizant of the threat of the package from Pretty. As you said before, the Wrath can be very swift and very deadly from one fell engage if Pretty finds the vision for it.
Yeah, damage is starting to come through, and Immortals, I don't know if they're happy to make this trade, but I don't think they necessarily have to, right? You see that they're already bringing over both marksmen towards the top side of the map, and while they don't have vision of the Baron Pit, they can walk in. They are strong enough to do that, and Concept with the teleport is going to slowly beat down this dragon.
Dignitas, they can't actually force Immortals to check because they know that the Dignitas would rather fish for a face check, and Concept gets to take his time with the dragon. He has teleport. He's going to be joining this fight, but Chad gets caught once again. No way out, no Devour to save him, so there's no jungler for the 50-50. Eclipse is zoning and marking off Concept, and now he calls for the rest of the team to pile on up on Concept because of the X-Tech ultimatum, but it's not enough time and not enough burst. Devour from Joey saves Concept and allows Immortals to reset, but they still have to walk into this bush. They still have to walk through this choke point. It's so difficult. Wild Turtle's trying to step up with Concept, the rest of his team trying to get damage down. Shockwave lands, catches out Concept, takes him down, but JJ falls. Resets are in for Wild Turtle, but Spawn, he goes forward with the Gale Force, and the Chakram Spawn finds the killing blow on a Wild Turtle, and now it's only to Pretty. Finds Eclipse, huge pickup. Eclipse cannot join the fight, and Baron, despite having the advantage of the marksman going down for Immortals, still cannot take the Baron just due to the threat of Pretty and Joey.
It's the exact same play. You see Dignitas going for the exact same thing once again, trying to force Immortals to come to them. They learned the lessons of the first game where they need to be at the objectives first, and they picked off Chad. Unfortunately, Corki exists, man. It's still the same kind of incredible poke that he's able to do from such a long way away. And while there are more kills traded this time, Dignitas still trying to actually find the engage. And we're seeing some of the issues with this composition. It doesn't necessarily have the ability to follow up and get stuck in a lot of these fights. And so Pretty and Wild Turtle are basically free hitting throughout most of this, and it really takes players like Spawn to step up and be like, Wild Turtle, I don't think you're allowed to be there. Let me prove you wrong and get it with the last Chakram from such a long way away. They bounce back to him before going all the way out to the opposing AD carry.
Looking like Sivir out there with a boomerang blade. It just comes right on back. Bam. Dignitas. This is still a difficult position to be in because off of that fight, it was a huge moment for Spawn to take out Wild Turtle, but the net result, they're still even in gold. They lost the Dragon because Concept was, comfortably taking it, while Dignitas could not pull the trigger on really just starting and forcing the Baron. So now, Immortals are on Mountain Soul point.
But notice that Eclipse is the one who has split push pressure, right? Concept does not have the teleport, so we're seeing a bit of a reversal of fortunes of the first game. Eclipse was constantly in a spot where he couldn't do anything, and now Immortals can be trying to force Dignitas to answer to them. Eclipse will probably take this turret before he joins, but it's still an opportunity for Immortals to find a fight.
If Dignitas really want to big brain this, XU, he's going to look for the Baron steal and allow Eclipse to still push, but he's going to come in for the flank. 2k HP. Can they get vision onto the Baron? He flashes in.
XU wins these.
Is it available? 1200. There it is! Time and time again! You cannot flip against Lords XU Zoo! And now Immortals, they're all in a fumble now. They are running like the wind. They know they have fumbled up big time, and Dignitas are here to punish.
Crazy play coming through from Dignitas. As you said, you can never win smite fights against XU, and Pretty trying to find something on the backside, but this is a clean ace. Okay, -1, but it's
Not
still
quite clean.
it's still 5-1 at the end of the day, and look at where Dark Wings and Spawn are. They're trying to end the game. There's 20 seconds left before Turtle and Chad are back up, and this is at least a full inhibitor and a ton of gold being funneled into the side of Dignitas. Can they end? It's going to be tough. It's going to be really close as the tanks are still not here.
8 seconds on both Wild Turtle and Chad. They may be able to get one Nexus turret, but they're going to turn their eyes towards the inhibitor turret.
Inhibs.
Look to get 2 inhibitors instead.
And they still have most of their Baron after they go for this recall, right? They want to make sure they spend all the gold because they just got a 7,000 gold lead after the game was even for so long at this point. Game isn't quite over, but man, we said, XU, I don't think there's a jungler in Academy who steals more objectives, who wins more smite fights than Lawrence does, and he finds it yet again when the game is largely on the line. Immortals didn't feel like they could take this fight. They were trying to kite back. They want to get more items onto Pretty. They know that they take better fights later, but when you get caught out, when Darkwings finds the shockwaves, you're going to be able to win these fights anyway. And so Dignitas finally find the fight that they've been looking for 10 minutes.
We didn't even get a chance to mention the beautiful pillar that also set up for the easy shockwave on the Wild Turtle as well. But I imagine that Immortals were just so, what's the word? Confounded. That the steal happened and then they were not in position to exit immediately to the top side of the map. And Wild Turtle was really just left to the wolves of Dignitas. And now they're the ones that have the inside track. They can deny Mountain Soul away and put themselves in the same position.
Yeah, it's a 6-dragon game looking like, and Dignitas, they still have a ton of control. Look at how much vision control they have down here in the bottom side of the map. Dignitas is going to just be able to pick up the dragon all on their own. And yeah, there's not a lot for Immortals to pick up on the rest of the map. There's no way. Yeah,
Nice.
Darkwing's going to be blocking that. Not going to be making the same mistake this time around, but look at how much stronger XU is this game than he was in the first one, right? Last game, he just didn't do a whole lot, but this time he is a real tank. He's got the Warmog to heal up from all the poke that's going to be coming out from Pretty, and it's just a really tough position for Immortals to find their way in. They need a whole lot more damage, and they're just not finding it because they're behind.
Dignitas still have, I would imagine, 30 more seconds before this Baron buff expires, but probably not enough time to set up on the top side of the map. But with that Baron buff, they unlock 2 inhibitors. They got the dragon, denied Mountain Soul, and now the next dragon is the one that both teams have to fight for. And a lot of times we see some dragons that are like, you know what, maybe you can give this one up, like Cloud Soul, right? But Mountain Soul, definitely not one of them if you want to have the better front line.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they already have... The thing is the backline doesn't do as much in these games anymore, right? Because of how much extra armor and MR all the tanks have, right? Eclipse, XU, Concept, Chad, Joey, right? All these guys are so hard to rip through that it really is just them beating each other up over time. And so, you know, the Jinx becomes a little bit more valuable. The Fearless becomes a little bit more valuable, which means that the range coming out from Corki is not as impactful as they try and find Chad.
Oh, Chad. He's not popping the ghost quite yet. Subjugate is there. He's now paper mache, just gets devoured instantly. And the rest of Dignitas, now they have to deal with one less frontline member. No Baron buff available. But with this minion wave, they could still look to inflict some massive damage to the base as Eclipse is already splitting on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Chad, unfortunately, just eating one too many death sentences. This game is now in a position where it could end up costing them the entire game and keeping Dignitas' hopes alive of actually going for a top 6. If they win this, they remain one game behind Immortals. That's what happens when we have these draws coming through, and Immortals, they need to try and defend it if they want to secure their spot in top 6.
Yeah, great job from JJ, making sure to hover Darkwings as he gets a push forward, pushing in and collapsing this minion wave. He just flips Spawn over to the bottom side of the map. They're looking to get some damage onto the Nexus turrets here because no, from Immortals, they can really force an engage here. They get one Nexus turret for free.
Absolutely free, and now the rest of Dignitas are trying to find a way in. I've been loving the way that Spawn has been playing this game, so aggressive, so confident in his ability to actually go for these fights. And so, Dignitas split up. There's a small window here for Immortals to try and find something, but do they take the fight here? Do they feel like they need to do it, or do they wait for the Baron to come through? Because it feels like every time they are stepping forward, they're recognizing that Dignitas isn't going to give them the open battle. They're going to wait and force the members of Immortals to come through these choke points. And the way that they play from Dignitas this time is so controlled. It's what we were asking for at the beginning of the day when they were going for all these crazy plays. Now they're back to the style that they got so many of their wins on in the second half.
Dignitas are 6,000 gold ahead, and they are in control. But something tells me that Immortals are still not necessarily a team that you can count out at this point in the game, because anytime I've seen in the past where Wild Turtle or Pretty on Corki specifically be down this far behind and they still turn games around, that is always the kicker, right? There's ways that Immortals can look for game-changing moments. So Dignitas, yes, they are the ones in control, but they need to make sure that they don't get complacent with that control.
True, they are ahead, as you said, but Pretty has package. He's a 4-item Corki. He does a ton of damage, and so the Warmogs coming out from XU is going to be really valuable, but all the squishy members need to be very scared of all these rockets coming through, and Immortals are the ones starting it up, forcing Dignitas into the chokes.
And I wonder if Immortals this time around look to turn instead of forcing the Baron, because they don't want to take the 50-50 smite and flip once again against XU.
They're giving so much
he has
ground.
Flash, it's 5,000 HP, Pretty still has package. Watch for who he decides to turn onto, and look at this.
They've given
Immortals
so much
backing up.
ground.
They're not looking for the flip this time around. Eclipse, does he make his engage? Shockwave is huge, pulls in Chad, not quite Wild Turtle. Eclipse right onto the back line, pops the stopwatch, but Wild Turtle gets devoured. JJ gets destroyed. Eclipse on the run, but it's still a rocket from Wild Turtle that takes him out. And now Dignitas, they're on the run. They're the one with the numbers disadvantage. Immortals are piling ahead. Pretty is already down, but Darkwings is going to get run down by the Man Bear Pig himself. Chad gets the stun down, and he has the rest of the Immortals to cut him off. And now Dignitas have to step back and reevaluate because there is a dragon coming up, and it's Mountain Soul on the line.
And it's Baron as well. There shouldn't be a way for Dignitas to get either of these. We'll see how Immortals want to play it. They're going to be going through. We'll take a look at a replay real quick, but the big thing to note is the fact that Concept takes so long to die. He doesn't go down, and as everybody tries to come in. Oh no! What? Spawn!
Wait, Spawn just
You're not allowed to
killed
do
the
this!
straight Concept. He's got crab for himself. Wild Turtle wasn't able to get in range, didn't want to use Flash, and didn't have Gale Force for the execute. Baron will not be secured, but it is Mountain Soul that is confirmed for Immortals, and now this shield is going to make things so damn difficult when a lot of the damage that comes out initially from Dignitas is all about burst.
No way. Spawn. He's going to do it because Concept's dead. They have a 5v4 for 30 more seconds. Or Darkwings is still dead for half of that, but we are already seeing Dignitas go for this, and I don't think Immortals know.
Chad, I mean, they burned. They know that they took out the blue
They don't know.
but they just have no idea. Baron has been taken right under the nose of Immortals Academy. What a response.
Okay, so it's Mountain Soul for the Baron. One of these is a permanent buff. One of them lasts a long time. And Mark, 38 minutes into this game, and we still don't have a clear winner. There's opportunities for both these teams as the game goes later and later for both of them to find these big options. And we got to shout out who our big carries have been, right? The fact that Spawn 10, 1, and 10, double digits in both kills and assists as the AD carry is incredible the way he's been able to play. He even got the kill onto Concept in order to set up for that Baron, and his ability to play this means that not only is he the big player for Dignitas, but he has a huge target on his back. If he goes down, that is a huge portion of Dignitas' gold and damage disappearing off the map, and so he needs to be careful in these upcoming fights. He cannot let Pretty get access to him. He cannot let Concept get on top of him, and it gives Immortals a very clear win condition.
And Spawn knows that. That's why he's got the GA. He's rocking that second life to make sure that he's got an insurance policy in case things get a little too dicey for Dignitas to be able to salvage him in the first burst. They have multiple members here on the bottom side of the map pushing in through open inhibitors. Eclipse going through the mid lane as well. Immortals, they don't have package quite yet for Pretty. It's still going to be some time before it is available for Immortals to look for a counter response. Eclipse just working in tandem with the four-man squad of Dignitas to put pressure into the base and once again send super minions barreling down into the stronghold of Immortals Academy.
Yeah, Wild Turtle is full build. Pretty is almost full build. We're very close to seeing the end of the game as another inhibitor goes down. There's only one Nexus turret between Dignitas and the end of the game, but look at the damage coming out from Turtle.
A lot of damage. Super Mega Death Rocket has to flash it. Eclipse is
XU?
going to take himself alive.
No, the package is gone.
Oh god, XU's gone. Huge reset opportunity for Immortals, and look at that. Eclipse was on a ward. Pretty is able to find it with Rocket, prevents him from being able to recall. Chad running them down, has popped the Ghost, looking for the speed boost and looking for the stun to set up Immortals, but XU is the only price that Dignitas have to pay for the two inhibitors.
But I mean, that's a big price, right? 30 more seconds before XU comes up. We have to remember that this late in the game, Trundle's not tanking unless he gets his ultimate off on the right target, right? He only has 2 items, and one of them is a Warmogs. That doesn't give you any resist at all, so he's melting right now to both Wild Turtle and Pretty, and suddenly we've given Spawn a lot of praise, but we have to know who the DPS on the other side who has stepped up. Pretty and Wild Turtle are not getting caught. They're only dying when this fight becomes total routes, and the inhibitors, yeah, they're nice, but at this point in the game, Immortals are able to clear them so easily because of the amount of damage that both of these carries are going to be able to do. And so we are 41 minutes in, less than 5,000 gold between these two teams. A Mountain Soul picked up, and Mark, I don't think we're getting a winner until the Elder responds.
Hold on to your butts, everyone, because this is going to be a wild ride in the next 2.5 minutes. I also imagine that is where this game will finally be decided, because whichever team manages to secure the Elder Dragon is the one that gets an insane advantage.
Yeah, we see Dignitas, they're trying to say, we don't care about this bottom lane turret, and honestly they don't. Who cares about this bottom lane turret? It's a little bit of gold that's going to be going over to IMT, but with 70,000 gold on both teams, it's peanuts. The only thing that matters is trying to find a way to actually hit the right targets, and Eclipse, he's a good target to hit.
Oh god. Yeah, even Eclipse taking a ton of damage down. Dignitas don't have the Baron buff anymore. They're trying to corral this minion wave in. It's just supers now, but without the Baron buff, it doesn't have the extra resistances. It doesn't have the extra durability, so it just melts in the faces of Wild Turtle and Pretty, who are just pumping out the damage. Dark Wings has to be careful about his positioning right now. Once the shield gets popped, it's only a flash that can save him from a potential collapse, and the damage from Pretty, if he finds and threads these rockets in, it is massive, distinct deterrent to the Dignitas backline, and they are just playing on a game of just patience, push and pull as they wait for the Elder Dragon to spawn.
We'll see. Pretty has to have his package coming back up. Eclipse is teleporting into the top lane. XU is farming the bottom side, and you keep seeing Immortals are trying to proactively defend this. They're trying to make sure that waves never even get to the turret so that it can't go down. But Dignitas, now, this is when they can bring in multiple supers from the bottom lane, and do they want to fight Eclipse's top side?
Dignitas pushing through the four-man squad on the bottom side of the map. Remember, this Nexus turret they took out just 7 minutes ago. They haven't been able to make any advancements since. XU dishing and dipping before the top and the bottom side of the map, trying to protect both sides of these two siege squads. Eclipse doing the best that he can. Has this minion wave here, but the rest of Immortals, they're pushing through a lot of damage already onto JJ and Darkwings. Elder Dragon in 30 seconds. Dignitas, if they would want to reset, it would have to be right now, but that moment has already passed, Josh. It might be too late. Darkwing's the only one that could get a pass because he has teleport, but they're looking for the flank. Chad, and is that Wild Turtle? Oh my god, Chad and Wild Turtle.
Turtle's dead!
But Wild Turtle's gone! Dignitas with the beautiful patience!
It's all Pretty!
The pick of the game! It's all down to Pretty! Pretty might be able to have enough damage in the tank, but Eclipse locking down Concept. Devour still spits it back out. The shield, it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Spawn, XU, Eclipse. 3 against 2. Immortals trying to do the best they can. They're waiting on super minion waves, but a pillar will lock down pretty, forcing in the
He has
flash, but he's
package.
still fighting back. He's got
All the new
package now,
rockets.
and this has to be the game-saving play for Immortals Academy to defend them in the standings against Dignitas Academy. They're packaging forward, trying to cut off the minion wave. Spawn's
hitting.
The base.
It's
Spawn
over. They got it.
The pretty Gorky just end the game. Spawn will help Dignitas cross the finish line.
Oh my god, 44.5 minutes in, Mark. This is one of the longest games we've had in Academy, and it was so close the entire time, and your boys do it at the very end. God, you need to take a break a little bit right now, because man, that was insane. It took them that long, and it was such a small margin. They find Wild Turtle a little bit too far forward, and even though he kills JJ, it's not enough. They still lock down the AD carry, and the game ends. Oh my god, what a game!
I don't want to speak. I need a breath. You know what? That's a good thing that we have a break coming up, and I hope production is ready, because I want to toss it to you ASAP. So I'll give you a little bit of a 10-second window. Huge props to Spawn. I don't remember the final KDA at the end of the game,
12,
but I know when you noted 10, 1, and 10. Oh my god, Spawn, massive step up, massive performance. I talked a little about him in our underserved players video at the top of the day with our pre-show, but I'm going to come back and sing it to again. This is not the same Spawn that came into Academy last year after being drafted from Polar Ace and Team Mountain from our Scouting Grounds class of 2020. Spawn has evolved and improved to the point where now he is a top of the standings Academy 80 carry here.
He's been looking fantastic across the entire day. Basically, every time that we see a Dignitas win, he's been a huge part of it. But it sounds like we're ready to go to break and get into an opportunity to talk to them.
And you know what? I hear that we're finally good to throw to break. So when we come back, it's going to be Kangas on deck in an interview with Dignitas QNTMPAY Academy.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, for our post-series interview with the one and only Dignitas Academy Dark Wings. Congratulations, splitting the series 1-1. Crazy game 2 right there. The full 45-minute banger, and it was back and forth. And I want to put you on the spot, Dark Wings, and bring you back into that Baron steal moment. We have seen XU do this so many times. What does he sound like after he steals the Baron? Because he's done it like 20 times this season already.
I mean, honestly, we didn't really talk about the Baron steal that much. We're kind of focused on the fight, but then it's just like we just it's just expect XU to steal Baron now,
At this point, yeah, it's just the expectation. More so than anything. It's a lot of pressure to put on the guy.
Yeah.
With Dark Wings, I want to compliment you on a fantastic second round robin. We were talking about it at the top of the show. From the stats and also the eye test, it seems like you've been growing a lot individually in your role. I'm curious what your thoughts are on your own development throughout the season. As you look back on a split now that we're in the final week, how do you kind of reflect on your journey so far in Academy?
I think during my split in Academy, I feel like I've learned a lot. Like there's a lot of concepts, a lot of even laning that I was struggling at first, but I'm getting the hang of it now, and I want to keep improving those parts.
Anything in particular that you can kind of mention on broadcast? Maybe something you learned or somebody that taught you some key concepts?
Just in general, even still, my side laning kind of not the best, but I've been learning a lot of concepts when to shift, when not to shift, what should I do with my sideways, and stuff like that.
And who's kind of the one that's walking you through those basic concepts? Is it the coaching staff? Is Deus really pulling that much weight, or are there other folks behind the scene?
I mean, it's mainly Deus and Eclipse, our top laner. We talk a lot about this stuff, so I've been learning a lot.
All right. Well, it's awesome to see the development and the growth that you've shown as an individual player, but also as a team. Dignitas Academy split in a lot of series. We know that you're at the #1 in terms of social media game. Still in the clump, as we call it here, when it comes to standings. You have an opportunity to make the push in these last day to possibly get top 6 and auto seed into Proving Grounds rather than playing the Proving Grounds play-ins. I'm curious your thoughts on the team performance overall and kind of where your power level is right now relative to the field. Do you feel like you're kind of punching at your weight class, above your weight class? Where's Dignitas Academy at as a whole?
I think we're a little inconsistent. I think at our when we're all playing our best, we could definitely beat the best teams, but sometimes we won't always be not all of us will have the best day every day. So I think right now middle of the pack is kind of to be expected because we are a bit inconsistent.
Sure. And as somebody who had played throughout the amateur circuit last year, what are your thoughts then on the Proving Grounds amateur teams? Do you feel like they've improved, declined since you kind of graduated to the academy level?
I think it's not. Well, I'm not sure actually. I haven't really been looking too much into amateur.
You better start, man.
Academy, but yeah, I mean, most of them look pretty good, the top ones.
All right. Well, I'm just always interested to hear players' thoughts when they were playing in one circuit. Now they're in another, but you're definitely impressing us here, Dark Wings, at the academy scene. So I'm going to give you the podium. Final thoughts on season overall, or any shout outs that you want to give to anybody at home watching?
I think I'm mostly happy with the season overall. I had a lot of fun with my teammates, and I hope to keep improving with my team.
Well, we are excited to watch that journey and see that improvement, Dark Wings. Thanks so much for coming on for our post-match interview, and we're going to send it to a short break before we're back.